One man changed a few words in a telegram and created the nation of Germany. He didn't fire a shot. He didn't give a speech. He took a diplomatic message that had already been written, edited it, sharpened a few phrases, and released it to the newspapers. And within days, a great power had declared war, a war that would hand him an empire and redraw the map of Europe. The armies did the fighting, but the war was won in the editing of a single telegram by a man who understood something almost no one around him did. His name was Otto von Bismarck, and the genius wasn't the war. The genius was that nobody, not his rivals, not his enemies, sometimes not even his own king, could ever quite see what he actually wanted until it was already done. He let everyone watch the wrong hand, and while they watched, he built a nation. This is Law 3. Conceal your intentions. And by the end of this, you're going to understand why the people who broadcast their goals so often lose them, why the powerful always let you see a decoy, and how to protect the things you're building from the people who would quietly stop you. Here's the mistake you make without even noticing. You get an idea, a goal, a plan for your life, and the excitement of it makes you do the most natural thing in the world. You tell people. You announce it. You share your real intentions, openly, honestly, to everyone around you, because you've been taught that openness is good and hiding is bad. And then you watch, confused, as the thing quietly dies. Someone talks you out of it. Someone gets there first. Someone who didn't want you to rise finds a subtle way to block the door before you even reach it. And you never connected back to the moment you told them exactly what you were planning. Right? You've felt this. The plan you announced that somehow never happened, while the quiet ones you told no one about got done. Comment the word blocked if you've ever had a goal quietly sabotaged after you made the mistake of announcing it to the wrong person. I want to see how common this is, because it happens constantly, and by the end of this, you'll never hand someone that power again. Let me tell you how Bismarck did it, and then how you do it, in an ordinary life. First, the law itself, plainly. Law 3 of power is this: conceal your intentions. Never make it easy for people to see what you're truly after. Keep your real goals, your real plans, your real moves behind a surface that gives away nothing, or better yet, gives away something harmless. Let people see a version of your intentions that costs you nothing if they know it, and keep the real one for yourself until it's done. And I know how this sounds. It sounds like I'm telling you to be a liar, to scheme, to deceive, to manipulate everyone around you. Stay with me, because that is not the heart of this law, and by the end, you'll see it's mostly about protection, not deception. The core truth underneath it is simple and hard. The moment people can see exactly what you want, they gain power over you. They can block it, take it, use it, or simply talk you out of it. Your visible intention becomes a handle that anyone can grab, and the powerful learned, long ago, to never hand anyone that handle. Think about what an intention actually is. It's a want that hasn't happened yet. It's a plan that's still fragile, still forming, still vulnerable to 100 forces that could stop it before it becomes real. And what do you do with that fragile, unformed thing? Most people broadcast it. They announce it to the whole world at the exact moment it's least able to defend itself. Would you take a seed you just planted and dig it back up every day to show people? Of course not. It would never grow. But that's exactly what you do to your goals when you announce them too early, to too many people. You keep pulling them up into the cold air to be examined, and then you wonder why they never take root. Comment the word seed if you've ever killed one of your own plans by announcing it too early, too loudly, before it had a chance to grow. Because almost everyone has done it, and seeing the pattern is how you stop. So Europe, the middle of the 1800s, Germany, as we know it, did not exist. It was a scatter of separate kingdoms and states, and the biggest of them was Prussia. And Bismarck, who became the leading minister of Prussia, had one enormous, secret ambition: to unite all those German states into a single powerful empire, led by Prussia. It was a goal so vast, so threatening to every other power in Europe, that if he had announced it openly, they would all have united to stop him. France, Austria, everyone. A visible plan that big would have been strangled in its crib. So he never announced it. Instead, Bismarck became a master of the concealed intention. Publicly, he was always reacting, defending, responding to other people's aggression. Privately, he was steering the entire continent toward the exact outcome he wanted. He fought a series of wars, and here's the genius. In each one, he arranged things so that the other side appeared to be the aggressor. He never looked like the man reaching for empire. He looked like the man defending Prussia from others who started the fight. And every war he won brought the German states one step closer together, under Prussia, exactly as he had secretly intended all along. Think about how patient that is. Most people, with a goal that big, could not hold it in. They'd boast about it, hint at it, let it slip. Bismarck held his true intentions silently for years, through war after war, while everyone around him thought he was merely responding to events. He let the world write its own innocent story about what he was doing, and he never corrected it, because the false story served him perfectly. Have you ever noticed how the people who get the most done are often the ones you understood the least while they were doing it? That's not an accident. That's this law, quietly at work. Which brings us to that telegram. In 1870, Bismarck wanted a war with France, because he knew a war against a common enemy would finally pull the southern German states into union with Prussia. But he could not be seen wanting it, so when a diplomatic message came in, describing a tense meeting between the French ambassador and the Prussian king, Bismarck saw his moment. He edited it. He trimmed it and sharpened it so that it read as far more curt, more insulting to both nations. Then he released it to the press. The French read it and felt insulted by Prussia. The Germans read it and felt insulted by France. Public fury exploded on both sides, and France, feeling provoked, declared war. Exactly what Bismarck wanted. But to the world, France was the aggressor, and Prussia the defender. His true intention, to provoke a war that would forge a nation, stayed completely hidden behind a telegram that looked like an accident of diplomacy. France lost. The southern German states rallied to Prussia, and in 1871, the German Empire was proclaimed, with Bismarck as its architect. He had achieved one of the most ambitious goals in modern history, and he had done it while appearing, at almost every step, to merely be responding to others. That is, Law 3, at the highest level anyone has ever played it. Comment the word "seen" if you're starting to realize how often the people who get what they want are the ones you never saw coming, because they never let you see what they were after. Now here is the part that turns this from a lesson about scheming into something much deeper and much more useful for your actual life. You'd think a man who concealed his intentions to start wars would keep doing exactly that, forever. That once he had his empire, he'd use the same dark skill to grab more, to conquer, to expand. That's what everyone expected. It's the opposite of what he did. The moment Bismarck had his unified Germany, he stopped. And he spent the entire rest of his career using that exact same skill, the concealment of intentions, for the opposite purpose, to keep the peace. Here's what almost no one tells you about Bismarck. After 1871, he became one of the most cautious peacekeepers in European history. He understood that his new Germany was surrounded by nervous, resentful neighbors, and that another war could destroy everything he'd built. So he built an intricate web of alliances and treaties, so complex and so carefully concealed that no other nation could ever be sure which way Germany would jump. And that uncertainty, that inability to read his true intentions, is exactly what kept the peace. No one dared start a war, because no one could predict whose side the most powerful man in Europe would take. He concealed his intentions not to attack, but to make attacking anyone else too risky to attempt. And think about how counterintuitive that is. We assume the peaceful move is to be open, transparent, to lay all your cards on the table so everyone trusts you. Bismarck did the opposite and kept the peace for 2 decades. Because in a room full of nervous, armed rivals, the most dangerous thing is not mystery. It's predictability. The moment everyone knows exactly what you'll do, someone can plan around it, exploit it, gang up against it. But a power whose next move no one can read is a power everyone treats carefully. His concealment wasn't cold or cruel. It was, in its way, protective of everyone, because it made the catastrophe of war too uncertain to risk. Sit with that, because it changes everything about how you should understand this law. The concealment of intention is not, in itself, good or evil. It's a tool, a neutral, powerful tool. Bismarck used it to create a war when he wanted one, and then used the very same tool to prevent wars for the next 20 years. The skill was identical, only the purpose changed. Which means the question is never whether concealing your intentions is right. The question is what you're concealing them in service of. And that is entirely up to you. Comment the word quiet if there's a goal in your life right now that you're keeping to yourself, protecting it, not because you're deceiving anyone, but because it's too important and too fragile to hand to the world before it's ready. So let's understand why revealing your intentions is so dangerous. Because once you see the mechanism, you'll guard your plans instinctively. When people can see what you want, 3 things happen, and all of them work against you. First, the people who benefit from you not getting it can now move to block you, quietly, early, before you've built any momentum. Second, the people who want the same thing now know to compete with you, or to get there first. And third, even the well-meaning people around you, the ones who love you, will now flood you with their doubts, their fears, their opinions, their unsolicited advice, and slowly talk the confidence right out of you. Your fragile new plan, exposed too early to the cold air of everyone's reactions, wilts before it ever had a chance to grow roots. And here's a question worth sitting with. Why does announcing a goal feel so good when it so often kills the goal? Because the announcement gives you a little hit of the feeling of success without any of the work. People react, they're impressed, they encourage you, and for a moment, you feel like the person who already did the thing. And that feeling, that premature reward, quietly drains the drive you needed to actually do it. You got the applause up front, so why finish? This is the hidden trap inside, revealing your intentions. It doesn't just expose your goal to enemies, it robs you of your own motivation by paying you for the dream before you've earned it. Have you felt that? The strange way a goal loses its heat the moment you've told enough people about it. An intention, in its early stages, is a delicate thing. It needs to be protected, incubated, given time to become real before it faces the world's resistance. And the moment you announce it, you expose it to all of that resistance at once. At the exact moment, it's least able to survive it. This is why so many people's dreams die in the announcing. Not because the dreams were bad, because they were shown to the world before they were strong enough to withstand being seen. And notice who does the killing, because it's rarely who you'd expect. It's usually not an enemy. It's the well-meaning people closest to you. You tell a family member about the risk you want to take, and out of love and fear, they list every way it could go wrong. You tell a friend about the dream, and they, maybe without even meaning to, plant a seed of doubt that grows in you for weeks. None of them are villains. But collectively, their reactions, their worries, their raised eyebrows, drain the life out of a plan that was strong enough in the quiet of your own mind and too weak to survive contact with everyone's opinions. You didn't need their permission, but by announcing, you accidentally asked for it, and their hesitation became yours. Comment the word wilted if you've watched one of your own dreams wilt, not because it was wrong, but because you exposed it to everyone's doubts before it was strong enough to stand. Because that's one of the quietest, most common tragedies there is. And there's a deeper layer. When you reveal what you want, you also reveal what you fear, what you lack, what you're reaching for. You show people the shape of your desire, and a person's desire is the easiest thing in the world to exploit. Show someone what you want badly enough, and you've shown them exactly which string to pull to move you. The person who keeps their true wants concealed is impossible to manipulate that way, because no one can find the handle. Now here is where I have to challenge something you were raised to believe, because getting this wrong is what leaves so many good people exposed. You were taught that transparency is always a virtue, that being an open book is honest and good, and that keeping anything hidden is a kind of dishonesty. Be authentic, they said. Share your goals. Tell people what you want. Wear your heart on your sleeve. And in the right relationships, with the right people, that openness is beautiful, and it's exactly right. But applied to everyone, indiscriminately, it is not virtue. It is naivety, and it will cost you. Because not everyone around you wants you to succeed. Some are indifferent, some are quietly competing with you, and a few, more than you'd like to believe, would prefer that you stay exactly where you are. Handing all of those people a clear view of your intentions isn't honesty. It's just leaving your door unlocked in a neighborhood you haven't checked. So the real law is not deceive everyone. It's discernment about what you reveal, and to whom. Here's the principle. Your true intentions, your real goals, the things you're building, are precious, and you give a clear view of them only to the people who have earned your trust and want to see you win. To everyone else, you're simply not obligated to broadcast your plans. That's not lying. Silence about your goals is not a lie. You're allowed to keep your own counsel. You're allowed to let your results, not your announcements, be the thing people see. And the other half of this law, the half that protects you every single day, is learning to read when others are concealing their intentions from you. Because they are. The colleague being suspiciously helpful. The person whose stated reason for something doesn't quite add up. The too generous offer. Once you understand that people show you a surface and keep the real intention underneath, you stop taking everyone's stated intentions at face value, and you start asking the question that protects you. What might they actually be after? That question, asked calmly and without paranoia, is one of the most protective habits you can build. And here's how you ask it without becoming a suspicious, joyless person who trusts no one. You don't assume everyone is hiding something sinister. Most people aren't. You simply hold a small, quiet space between what someone says they want and what you're willing to believe, until their actions fill it in. Words are cheap. Anyone can state a noble intention, but watch what a person actually does, over time, and their real intentions reveal themselves, no matter how well concealed. The stated intention is the surface. The pattern of actions is the truth. Learn to weigh the actions more heavily than the words, and you become very hard to fool, without ever becoming bitter about it. Comment about the one person in your life you can tell your real goals to, completely, with no fear, the one who wants to see you win. Because those are the people your true intentions are safe with, and knowing exactly who they are is its own kind of power. So let's make this practical, something you can use this week. Here's the move. Think of the one real goal you're working toward right now, the thing that matters, and ask yourself, honestly, who have I told, and did they need to know? And going forward, adopt a simple discipline. Keep your important goals quiet until they're real, sharing them only with the small handful of people who genuinely want you to win and can actually help. To everyone else, let the finished result be the announcement. Not because you're being secretive or cold, because you're protecting something fragile until it's strong enough to survive being seen. And if you're in a situation with someone whose interests compete with yours, a rival at work, a negotiation, anyone who might benefit from blocking you, be especially careful about what you reveal. You don't have to deceive them. You just have to stop volunteering information that they could use against you. Let them wonder. Let them guess. The less they can read your true intentions, the more freedom you have to move. So here's your job. This week, pick your most important goal and consciously decide who actually needs to know about it, which is almost always fewer people than you've been telling. And then protect it. Let it grow in the quiet, where nothing can reach it, until it's real enough to speak for itself. And notice, this isn't about becoming secretive or paranoid with the people you love. It's a specific, surgical discipline. You can still be warm, still be open about your feelings, still be a real and present person. You're just moving one specific category of thing, your fragile in-progress goals, out of the public square and into the protected quiet, until they're ready. That's it. It's not a personality change, it's just refusing to keep digging up the seed. Comment the word protected if you're going to pick one goal this week and stop announcing it, starting now. If you're going to let it grow in the quiet until it's strong enough to show. Because saying it here makes it real, and it's the only announcement this particular goal needs. And now the deepest layer, the one that turns this from a tactic into a way of carrying yourself. There is a quiet, immense power in simply being hard to read. Not cold, not deceptive, just unhurried, self-contained, not broadcasting your every want and fear and plan to everyone in the room. Most people are transparent without meaning to be. You can read their desires, their insecurities, their next move, right off their face, because they cannot stop revealing themselves. And that transparency makes them easy to manage, easy to predict, easy to move. The person who has learned to hold a little back, to keep their own counsel, to not need everyone to know what they're thinking and wanting, becomes something else entirely, unpredictable. And the unpredictable person is powerful, because no one can quite get ahead of them. This is what Bismarck understood at the deepest level. His power came not from what people knew about him, but from what they couldn't. The uncertainty itself was his strength. And you can have a smaller, everyday version of that same strength, simply by breaking the habit of narrating your entire inner life to everyone around you. Keep some things for yourself, not out of fear, and not to deceive. Just because a self that isn't fully on display to everyone is a self that no one can fully control. And here's the paradox that makes this worth it. The person who reveals less is often the person people find most interesting. We're drawn to what we can't fully see. The person who tells you everything, whose whole hand is always face up, becomes, over time, a little boring, a little easy to take for granted. The person who holds a little back, who has a depth you can't quite reach the bottom of, stays compelling. This isn't about playing games. It's just that a human being with an inner life they don't broadcast to everyone is simply more magnetic than one who's fully transparent to the last detail. Mystery isn't a trick. It's just what's left when you stop over-explaining yourself to the world. So, Bismarck, let me bring it home. He held power in Germany for decades, and for all that time, the peace he'd built held, precisely because no one could ever read his true intentions well enough to risk moving against it. And here's the telling part. When he was finally forced out of power, by a young new emperor who didn't understand what he'd built, the careful concealment ended. The new leadership was loud, obvious, easy to read, telegraphing its ambitions to the whole world. And within a couple of decades, the intricate peace Bismarck had concealed his way into keeping collapsed into the catastrophe of the First World War. The moment Germany started announcing its intentions, instead of concealing them, the whole thing came apart. There's a lesson in that far bigger than any single trick. The concealment of intention, used wisely, is not about deceiving people for fun. At its highest, it's about protecting something, a goal, a piece, a fragile thing you're building, from all the forces that would rush to destroy it if only they could see it clearly. Bismarck concealed his intentions and forged a nation and kept it safe for a generation. The men who replaced him revealed everything and lost it all. So here's what I want you to take from Law 3. Not that you should become a schemer, but that your goals, your plans, the precious things you're trying to build, deserve protection. That not everyone has earned a clear view of your intentions. That the wise person keeps their real aims quiet, shares them only with the trusted few, and lets the finished result speak for itself. Your dreams are fragile when they're young. Guard them. Give them the silence they need to grow strong, before you ever hand them to a world that might not want them to. And here's the beautiful part, the part that makes this feel less like scheming and more like wisdom. When you finally do reveal a goal, it won't be as a fragile hope anyone can knock down. It'll be as a finished thing, a done deal, a result. And there is nothing more powerful than that. Not the person announcing what they're going to do and inviting everyone's doubts. The person who quietly did it and simply lets the world discover it, complete, undeniable, already real. That's the reward for the silence. You trade the small pleasure of announcing for the enormous power of arriving, finished, before anyone even knew you were on the way. Tell me the one goal you're going to start protecting instead of announcing. One word, in the comments, and I read them. The business, the change, the move, the thing you've been telling everyone and watching quietly die. Mine, for years, was almost everything, because I confused announcing my plans with actually working on them, and the announcing kept killing the working. Not anymore. What's yours? Put it down below. And this was Law 3 of 48. Each law in this series is one more piece of the map, one more way to read the game and protect what matters. The next one is on the screen now. I'll see you there.